I get a lot of questions and requests for a basics video on the ScanNCut. So today what I'm going to do is, since I've worked with Brother on this machine since it was a prototype, since before it was even out there. So I'm happy to do so. If you have any questions, please leave me a comment. I will be doing, I'm sure, at least a second round of this. Now, I do videos for the ScanNCut every single month on my YouTube channel and over on my blog. What you see here, this is an older mat. This is a messed up mat. You don't want to do this. And so I thought we'd start with the mat. So the mat is 12 by 12. And the way it's designed, you can insert it either way. Why would you want to insert it one way over the other? Well, this is what I am showing you. You can see right here, you see how it does not shine in this area? I had something sticky on here, and when I went to scrub it off, I pulled off the adhesive from these areas as well. And up here you can see there was a sticker, like a barcode sticker, that got stuck to it. You can clean this mat if you just take a slightly damp paper towel or a baby wipe and just gently, any hair, any fuzz, anything will come right off. You will also see on this mat, sometimes you'll see little lines from cutting too deep. Sometimes it's actually like this palm tree, the material was so fibrous, the paper, that it just left its green imprint. It wouldn't have mattered what I had the setting on. But then other times, like down here, I have some flowers and things that I did cut a little too deep on, and it marks up your mat. It's not the end of the world, guys, but it is why you want to do test cuts, why you want to avoid that in general. Is this mat still good? Well, sure. No, it's not great. No, if I had a difficult to use material, I wouldn't want to, or I was going to do a very intricate cut, I wouldn't necessarily want to use it because there are these areas where my material can't possibly stick. But this is a great working mat for me when I am playing around, when I am test cutting, all of that kind of stuff. So let's take a look at the machine. You'll see me most of the time use a stylus. If I misplace it, I'll use my hand, but the stylus really is the way to go. So when you turn the machine on, you're going to the home screen, this is going to happen. Which means if you've already inserted your mat or you didn't take your mat out the last time, it's going to eject it like so. To put your mat in, you are going to do this, and you are going to want even pressure here. You're not going to want to have one side or the other. Just place it up here, make sure it's down in the proper place, and then you just push this button right here, and you're set. You're ready to cut anything you want. Now, if you're wanting technical videos on like how to update your software, all of that good stuff, Brother has excellent resources for you at the ScanNCut website, and how-tos, videos, pictures, all that good stuff. So what I am going to show you today, what we're going to take a closer look at here, we're going to take a closer look at, that's how you load you're loading your mat. Normally I would tell you go ahead and put whatever material you're wanting to cut onto here first before you load your mat. So we're going to eject that so we can do that. But how are we going to go about cutting? What are we going to cut? So this is where you start your two options. If you're doing all your scanning stuff, you're coming over here. If you're doing your pattern, you're coming over here. If you're brand new to the machine and you're wondering about making your own patterns, doing fancier stuff, I'd really strongly recommend you start by just going into pattern and trying things out. Going into pattern and seeing, okay, you know, even just starting with a basic shape. Even just saying, okay, I am going to cut out, let's say a heart, because hearts are really useful on a lot of stuff. I'm going to cut out a heart. Even just doing that kind of a thing, just walking yourself through super basic tutorials first. I really recommend that because that way you can get a feel for how the machine works. And before you'll know it, you'll be like me where you're just boop, 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 going right through quickly. So in here, this is where your patterns are. Depending on which model and make of machine you have, they're going to be different than what I have. That's okay. It all works the same. If you want to do a test cut, you can do one of these test cuts. What would be the point of a test cut? The point of the test cut would be if you're wanting to make sure that your material will cut through. So if you're not sure, and let's start with that. Okay, so we're going to have our mat, and we're going to have a piece of paper. Okay, here's my mat. I'm gonna load it first because I'm gonna work with just a small scrap of paper, so I'm not worried at all about that. Let's do a test cut. Let's do a test square. And you can adjust. Do you want it smaller? Do you want it bigger? I don't need it to be very big. Let's do that. And we can also move it, okay? So pulling this around moves it. Let's cut right in the middle and say, okay. And cut that out. Now let's see how that does. Oh. Now you might notice that my machine went wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. And when we look here, there's a little dot, but nothing really cut. That's okay. I know two things went wrong here. Number one, you noticed I put my mat on first and then I just placed this here. Well, it's not sticky enough. I just finished telling you this is an old mat. This mat is not sticky at all anymore. So it was doomed to failure. That's my error. And because I just set it there and went for it, when the blade came to cut, it couldn't cut. It couldn't cut because it didn't have, you know, the paper's moving with it. How is it supposed to test cut? So we'll try that again. This time I have a new mat with a different piece of cardstock. It says finished cutting. I'm going to say, okay, I was not happy with that. So I'm going to try again. Now, when I lift this paper off, did it cut? Perfectly, perfectly. So now I know, and there's a little bit left over on here. And looking at my new mat, I do see a little bit of a line there, which means that I had this at 5. I'm going to go down just a little bit. It's not, it didn't really cut into my mat, but it did leave somewhat of a line. So adjusting it down a little bit will make the pressure less. It'll cut a little less, and I could probably do that for this particular paper. Now let's talk a minute here about this. How does this work? Well, this is 12 is the deepest cut you're getting on the standard. 1 is the very lightest. There's very few things you would ever want the 1 for. It really doesn't have any use for me. Now, if you keep sliding past the 1, that comes off. And there's your blade. There's your blade, and it pokes right out. I usually can use a blade for a couple of months. Keep in mind that I do a lot of work. And look, I'm just screwing it all the way back on. I go all the way until it goes no more. So I know it's all the way clicked in and everything. And then I will adjust back down. Usually around a 4, guys, unless the blade is old, around a 4 is most of the papers and things that I cut. So that's your blade. We know our mat works. Now we can look at how am I getting a pattern into this picture. So going into here, when you're in here, you want to get rid of it, you want to start over, anything like that. If you push the home screen, it's deleting your patterns, you're starting from scratch. Okay. Here in pattern, so we talked about test here. Let's go in and cut out a basic shape. As you scroll through these screens, you're getting all the various shapes. Let's go with that star, or excuse me, the heart. Now, here you can adjust how many you want. You can adjust what size you want. If you adjust one of these, the other one will also adjust. As you can see, it's adjusting to keep, what it's doing is keeping the same proportions. Now, if you touch into these buttons down here, you're looking at rotating. If you wanted to rotate, you're looking at flipping, which we don't need to do for a heart. It's the same either way. You can also look, if you're getting into fabrics mostly, if you're wanting a seam allowance, if you're wanting to have, you want it that heart, but you want a little bit extra around it for your cutting. We don't need any of those things. But what we might use is this 4th button. This 4th button, if you push it, and then say you want to adjust the height, notice that only the height is moving. The width is not moving. So you could change the proportion. You could make yourself a tall, skinny, or a short, fat. You know, we could go way, way down here and make it fatter. It's up to you. And we could do the same thing with the width. We could change the proportions. Why would this be good? Well, maybe not so much on this particular heart, but imagine you have a rectangle that you want a specific length. Now we're going to go back in here and look at it. Imagine we have a rectangle. Here's one. And let's say we want a 2" by 4" rectangle, or a 3 by 4. Let's say we want to make a journaling card. Well, you can't get it this way, but by pushing this button, I can change it so that it is a 3" height. And notice that if I tap, single tapped, it's only going 1/10, or excuse me, not even a tenth. Yeah, it's going by little tiny increments there, 0.01 at a time, but watch this. If I hold, it goes much faster. So you decide, do you need that tap, tap, tap of every thing there, 0.01 by 0.01 by 0.01, or do you want it to go a lot? So 3 by 4, because I had pressed that. Let's say okay to that. Now, would it be a rectangle? Would it be easier to cut out a rectangle out of cardstock with a trimmer? Yes, we would have been done long before this. However, what I want to show you, and if you're brand new to this or you've got your machine, you haven't been using it, this would be a great tutorial for you guys to try. There's a 3 by 4. Now let's add. Because we can get crazy, guys. We can add a lot of stuff, as you've seen me do in the past. We're going to add a heart. And we're going to add a small heart. That's about, we don't need to measure. And I can click, this is now where we can get into clicking more stuff, right? So I could put this on there. I could keep it separate. You can treat your patterns and your designs as separate things, as together things. If you have never used a ScanNCut before, you got yours out and you're just trying to figure out what in the world do I do, where do I start? Cut one thing at a time out. Get really good at cutting, sizing, cut one thing. Don't try to mix and match. If, however, you're going, well, I can cut one thing, but I can't do more, keep watching. Here we go. So I'm going to put this on top of this. Whoops. And notice if my fingers are on there, it was moving things around. Now, over here, this button will scan the mat. And that's important if you have a scrap. We'll talk about scraps in another video. It's important for other things. We're not going to worry about it. This button will rearrange things so that they fit the best or fit in different ways. This button, consider this your edit button. So if I push that button, now I've got options. If I was wanting to, and I've talked about it in other videos, we won't do it in this one. If I wanted to select the things to either weld them together or just group them together so they move, if I move, it moves everything together. That's what this is about. That would be if we wanted to garbage something. This one lets me move things just a tiny bit. This button here, if you thought, oh, I want that 1.73 heart, that's the perfect size, and then you change your mind, this button, you guys see all this. This is the exact same things that showed to me when I was picking out my design, when I was picking out what I wanted to do. And it works the same way. This button will let me adjust height or width. This button will flip it. It's the exact same, which is wonderful in my opinion, because it gives me two different ways that I can adjust. And what I really like about that is maybe I thought, and I can push OK, maybe I thought that was the right size, but I was off by ½ inch. Well, this button gives me an opportunity to change that. Just like this button, if I'm having a hard time or I'm frustrated by how much or how little things are moving, this button lets me move things in very small increments. Okay, so I'm going to say okay to that. Now, once we're all happy, we can say okay. When I say okay to this, it's going to take me out of the edit screen and back to this main screen. At this point in time, we could add more. If you're thinking about it, if you're thinking, I'm not sure, is it 3 by 4, is it 4 by 5, but I don't have my stuff with me, I want to save it. If you click save, you can save it to your machine. You could save it to, if you have the online enabled, you can save it that way. You can save it to your machine, save it to a computer, save it to a USB. You have options there. And again, Brother has videos on all of that technical stuff if you want to know exactly how to do all of that. For me, I'm happy. I'm ready to cut. I have, you know what? I'm going to use, let's see, this piece of paper has a hole in it, but that's okay. Because I have a brand new mat, I'm just down here pressing this on here. It should be fine. I want to cut this. So I am going to say, okay. When we get to here, why is it asking about drawing? Well, if you had a pen holder and you had a pen in there and you wanted to draw this versus cut it, that's what you would press. We are going to cut it. We already have our mat. We already know our mat's working well. We already did our test cut, so we know it'll test well. So we are absolutely ready. All that's left is when this button is green, we're ready to cut. And we can just watch how quick this goes. I like to keep an eye on it, especially when newer to this stuff. Keeping an eye on it means I know if it's working well or not, and you see how fast that goes. So let's take a look here. Ejecting the mat is your best option. Sometimes you'll see me not eject it, and really I should. Okay, and then look, everybody pops right off. Now, if you were to test something and it didn't quite cut all the way through, if you still had it on the mat, you could recut it. Okay, your other option is if you need to trim something up, like right there, I've got a one tiny rough spot. Usually if I just flick my finger along the rough spot, it'll work itself out, but you could always grab a pair of scissors if needed. It's very rarely needed though. So look, I've got my 3x4 journaling card and my heart. I'm set. I can go make a journaling card out of this. I can make a greeting card, whatever I would like. And I know this video took a very long time to do something very simple, but I'm hoping if you have a ScanNCut and you just haven't pulled it out yet, or maybe you've been struggling with yours, I hope this video has inspired you. Again, leave me your questions because I do actually get requests to do a slowed down, more in-depth explanation type video like this one. So I'd love to know what other kinds of things you would like to see. I'd be happy to cover it. All right, guys, I will see you next time. I wish you very happy crafting.